So, Venus in the seventh house. Let's not waste time. Let's get started. So, Venus in the seventh house. What happens when you have Venus in your seventh house in your birth horoscope? First of all, what's seventh house? Seventh house known as the house of marriage. It's literally known as a house of legal agreements and legal partnership. And what is marriage? Marriage is a legal partnership. Seventh house is a house of other people, meaning that the first house is yourself. Seventh house is directly opposite of other people, meaning that first house you serve yourself, seventh house you serve others. So it becomes a house of other people, serving other people. It becomes dealing with a mass amount of people, like the 10th house, because these are the exterior houses. They deal with the other people, because fourth is the home life, 10th is the professional life. First is yourself, 7 is directly opposite of you, other people, especially the opposite sex. Okay. And 7th house is a house of business as well. It's one of the houses of business. Okay. And Venus is what? Venus is love, energy, of passion. It's relationship with the opposite sex. Venus is enjoying the luxurious lifestyle. Venus is enjoying the sensual things of life. Venus is art and creativity. And the sensual things of life is everything like going to the opera, to going to a gallery opening, going to movies. It represents art. It represents creativity within you. It represents hoarded wealth, meaning that you're like your jewelry, gemstones, things like that. And so when it comes to the 7th house, Venus feels very comfortable here, because not only this is the original house of Venus, but this is where Venus really shows its true qualities. So when you have this in your horoscope, these people, first of all, love to make agreements between people, meaning that these people can be one of those matchmakers, like professional matchmaker. These people can be attorneys, especially since in a man's chart, this is representing your wife. Your wife can be a deal maker. She could be a deal maker whether it's in your personal life, like she bargains on your behalf, or she does this professionally, meaning that she could be a litigation attorney. She could be a matchmaker. She could be an interior decorator who arranges things and say, hey, this is how you do everything. Okay. But here, what really happens is that these people want to provide, okay, especially in a male's chart, they want to provide the sensual things of life to their partner. Meaning that if you have this Venus, and when you get married, these people will do whatever it takes to keep their wife happy. They're like, hey, let me take you shopping today. Hey, let me take you to the opera today. Hey, there's this fair here, let's go. Because Venus represents sensuality. 7th house is the original house of Venus, of working with other people. So your other half, the wife, you want to work with her, you want to please her, you want to keep her balanced, you want to keep the relationship balanced. These people strive to keep the relationship in balance. Now, here's a thing that you want to take a notice of with this position. This position of Venus is 10th from the 10th house. So if you look at the 10th house in an astrological chart and you go counterclockwise, 7th house becomes 10 places away from the 10th house. And 10th house is a house of your career. So when Venus is here, okay, what it means is that these people really thrive in their career, really make aggressive progression in their career after they get married. Because here Venus's energy is now activating the 10th house's activation process. Okay, so when you have this kind of placement, whether male or female, and you feel like, oh, I'm not advancing, I'm not really progressing in my professional life, once you get married, this energy gets activated. And here then you will see progress. Now, will you see some really big leap where you start making from $30,000 a year to like 150, you may or may not, but progression, doesn't mean that you suddenly become absolutely wealthy or rich, even though this is a very good position for Venus. But what it does, it just activates a progressive balance process, because seventh house represents balance. It wants to balance everything, not extreme of wealth, not extreme of loss of personal life. It balances it out. So the progression is very balanced, but it starts happening right after marriage. So if you have this position and you're like 26, 27, and you don't know how come you're not getting the promotion or not getting the job at that perfect company that you want to work for, is pretty much, and if you're single, it pretty much means that you have not activated that 10th house process. So actually looking at a career, 7th house also play a part, because it's 10th from the 10th house. So it's definitely, you should look at the 7th house as well regarding the career matters in your in your professional life. And these people, usually a man with Venus in the 7th house gets a very beautiful wife, especially if Venus is in a neutral sign or a well-placed sign. Definitely a beautiful wife. And if it's a girl, she will get a very handsome husband, even though the husband is looked with the Jupiter in a female's chart. But remember, Venus is still the significator of marriage. It's still throwing its energy off even in a female's chart. Not as much as Jupiter, but still you can see the characteristics of your husband or your wife from the 7th house of main birth chart. So these people always tend to run into very beautiful, balanced, sensual people who are not extreme, very balanced, very calm kind of people. Now, if there's a negative aspect looking over the Venus, of course it's going to alter, things regarding the marriage. If Mars is with it or aspecting it, your partner can be very sexual. If Rahu is looking at it, your partner can be looking for something that you may not have, and that'll drive them to cheat on you. If let's say malefic Ketu is there, it can you can be very unsatisfied. You can never be satisfied with your partner. You'll be like, oh, where's my perfect partner? Even though you may have a supermodel, you'll be like, well, I still don't feel it. Now, if Jupiter is looking at it, even though Jupiter and Venus are not friends, but again, these are positive, benefic planets. So Jupiter, when it throws its aspects off, you will get a wife or a husband who is very balanced and sensual, yet at the same time teaches you wisdom in your life. They bring some sort of a wisdom in your life. When Moon looks at it, it can actually make your partner very clever. Your partner will be very clever in making deals with the 7th house position. Like if you're about to buy a house with your wife will go and get a far better deal than you, because they're very clever at these things. If Sun looks at it, then your wife can have a lot of insecurities, or your husband can have a lot of insecurities in them. So you have to look at the placement of Venus too, with its conjunction and aspect, to really know the true picture of it, which we'll discuss. All of these things will be discussed in future episodes. So if you're new to my channel, guys, subscribe above. And if you want to know more about astrology and to see where your Venus is placed and your other planets, check out the link below. Check out my book, The Astrology, The Speed of Light. And when you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own charts and your own planetary placement. Just make sure you follow the directions at the website below. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.